Hello, viewers and listeners. You're welcome to another edition of the program Midday Vibes. Coming your way from Caliphate TV on Star Times Channel 141 and Caliphate Radio transmitting on 91.9. I'm your host, Hajara Usman At-Tajri. The value of Naira affects the price of nearly everything we buy in Nigeria, from the imported food and fuel down to basic household items. When the Naira is strong, the prices of commodities usually go down. But when the Naira is weak, prices of commodity often go up. But most people don't really understand how exchange rate affects or connects with their daily incomes. Today we are going to break it down how strong or what strong or weak Naira actually means, and we are going to explore some practical ways on how we can help individuals and families protect their incomes. To discuss this with me in the studio is Dr. Kabir Alhaji Jabo. Thank you for joining us on Midday Vibes, Doctor.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you.
You're welcome. Dr. Jabo, when people say Naira is strong or weak, what does that actually means in simple terms?
Well, you see, in simple terms, Naira is a currency and a legal tender here in Nigeria. And when we say Naira is strong, it simply means the currency in question, that is the Naira, can afford to buy more goods. Let me put it this way, so that everybody can understand. So when we say Naira is strong, it simply means it can afford to buy more goods and services. Moreover, it can also afford to buy more foreign currency. For example, if we say Naira is strong when its value go off, or it can be able to buy more goods and services, maybe compared to the time before the time in question. And it can also be called strong when its value go off compared to the foreign currency. Specifically, let me put dollar for example. For example, if previously a Naira, one Naira is equal to $1, for example, or one Naira is equal to $2, then in the next time 1 Naira is equal to $1, then we can say that the Naira is strong. Why? Because previously 1 Naira is equivalent to $2, but now it is equivalent to 1 Naira. As such, you can see that the value of Naira is going up. And when it comes to the goods and services, we say that it is strong when the total amount of Naira that you can use to buy a certain amount of goods and services go up. For example, now maybe you used 1,000 Naira to buy 10 quantity of a given commodity, but now you can use only 5 Naira to buy the same quantity of a given commodity. Then in that case, we call it the Naira is strong. But when the reverse is the case, that is when the currency weaken, then it means that the price, the amount of money that we can use to buy a given commodity, you have to use a high level of such what do you call it, currency. For example, we use 5 Naira to buy a given commodity, but now you have to use 10 Naira to buy that same commodity. Then we can say that the value of Naira is going down, or the Naira is weakening.
So how does the value of Naira affect the prices of things that we buy every day in Nigeria?
Well, you see that depending on the type of product we are talking about, you see, but in general, what we can say that why Naira affect the prices. I think here you are talking about maybe you have to refer to the exchange rate. You see, the product, the price of any given product is determined by the cost of that product. The cost of production determines the price of a given commodity, because we should bear it in our mind that every what do you call a businessman is doing his business in order to earn profit. Therefore, he has to look at what is the cost of production. Then he will see that what will be the profit margin. Then from that is what will determine the price of a given commodity. So when the exchange rate or when the Naira, the value of Naira go off, then certainly that Naira will make a producer, its value will make a producer to buy more goods and the services. But when it weakens, then he has to use a large volume of Naira, for example. You get what I'm trying to say? In order to buy a given commodity. As such, you see that if the price is, if the Naira is, the value of Naira is going off, certainly the cost of production will come down. But when the value of Naira it goes down, then certainly the cost of production will go up. And by the time the cost of production go up, then certainly the prices of goods and the services will increase.
Why do imported items like rice and milk, fuel often become more expensive when the value of Naira is weak?
You see, when you look at this product that you have just mentioned, issues that has to do with rice, issues that has to do with fuel, and you said transport, is it?
No, I said this the milk.
Milk, yes. So you see, all these things, most of them were imported. Yeah. So by the time that we import them, then it means that the value of our Naira have a greater role to play in determining the prices of such commodity. Why? Because if the value of Naira comes down, then it means you need what? More Naira to buy milk. And if the for example, we know that the price of rice, you have said, the price of milk and fuel, for example, are all what? All these commodities are fixed in what? In dollar. Their prices are stated in because they are imported. Therefore, their prices are determined by the rate of value of your product. So by the time that the value of your Naira, for example, the value of your currency comes down, then certainly that one will affect the prices of such a commodity. Why? Because you have to use what do you call it, a large amount of Naira to acquire a given product. And by the time that you use a large amount of Naira, then certainly you have to look at the that one. And that one will add to the cost of importation. And by the time that it adds to the cost of importation, certainly the prices of such goods must rise. And when things like that happen, then that is why we see that the prices of such type of goods and services are going up. Why? Because they are imported and their prices is pegged on what? On dollar. Yeah.
Now, it's since those imported items, it's understandable that when they are paid in dollars, and when our Naira is weak, that means that we need to pay more money. That's why it's expensive. But how does it affect the exchange rate? How does it affect normal transport money that we are paying and locally food items? How does it affect when you hear that most of the marketers and transport, when the value of Naira is weak, cost of items, everything, be it made locally made, it will go up?
The reason I think is simple, because these things that you have said, what determine their productivity is the inputs. What are the inputs? That is one. For example, even if you are claiming that you are producing this, you are producing this or that at home. Yeah. So what are the inputs that you use to produce it? Maybe you are using a certain machinery, and that machinery that you are using, you import it. Or you are using certain chemicals, and the chemicals that you are using, you are importing them. You get what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Or you are using fuel, and the fuel is priced in dollar. You get what I'm trying to say. Even if, for example, you want to maybe you want to claim that the rice that you are producing is locally made rice, but you are using fuel to complete the process of a production of that particular rice, and you are using certain machineries to produce to complete the production of. So when you look at the process of the production, it's entirely what? It's entirely foreign, because you have to use fuel, and the fuel its price is in dollar, and you have to use machineries, and the price of machineries is in dollar, and as such that you can see that the exchange rate have a greater role to play in determining the prices of such goods and the services. So for sure, that is what brings in the issue of exchange rate when it comes to the determination of the prices of locally made goods, because the inputs that we are using, the machineries that we are using, the energy that we are using is important, and as such they have a greater role to play when it comes to the determination of the prices.
Exactly. So how does inflation connect to the value of our Naira?
How does
inflation connect to the value of Naira?
Well, you see, when we are talking about inflation, it's simply talks about general rise in the prices of goods and the services. And by the time that you input, that is why we are calling for our country to expand its or to develop its own economic model, so that we can move from import-based economy to export-based economy, because of this type of issue. You see, provided that the value of Naira weaken, then it means that the purchasing power of individuals will come down. Why? And let me go straight to the issue of inflation, as we have pointed out. We said that it is general rise in the prices of goods and the services. So by the time that the value of your Naira is going down, then it means it will add to the cost of production, because the certain amount of Naira that you need to acquire goods and the services from abroad must change. So by the time that you increase the price or the quantity of Naira required to buy a given machineries, then certainly that one a lot lead to what? Increase in the cost of production. And by the time that there is increase in the cost of production, certainly the prices of goods and the services will go up. And when the prices of goods and the services keep going up, that is the foundation, or that is the basis of inflation, because prices are going up as a result of cost of production, which is attributed to what? To the exchange rate value. So by the time that the value of Naira comes down, certainly the prices of goods and services will go up. Why? Because we need a large amount of Naira to acquire, to buy goods, what do you call it? The input that we are going to use to produce such type of goods and services. And as such, the issue of inflation will certainly come and maybe even dominate the economy. And the one key issue that we should put in our mind to know that inflation is a serious disease. It's just like somebody with HIV. You get what I'm trying to say? So inflation, that is why when you look at the inflation rate in other countries, when you compare it to our own inflation rate, is very high. The rate of inflation that we have here in our country is extremely high. You can see that when you go to the other world, you can see that a price of a certain commodity, when it rises, you can see that the rise in the price is 0.00 something. But here we can see that we have inflation rate that reach about 38%. So you see, this is serious, and this issue of inflation will certainly affect all economic activities in the country.
So how does the exchange rate? What part of average family's budget is mostly affected when the Naira weakens?
Well, you see, in that case, we need to see where exactly the family mostly expends their money. When you look at it, for example, in typical Nigerian setting, you can see that most of our people do spend their money on food.
Rice.
Rice. You see that rice now is a serious a commodity in Nigeria, that everything that is happening, you receive rice. You get what I'm trying to say? So you see, when you look at it, one key factor that we should consider when it comes to this particular question that you have raised is the issue of food. Most of the family do spend their money on food. That is one. And apart from it, on energy, because energy is basic. And you see how the prices of energy is increasing. When we are talking about energy, well, let me specifically say transport, because transport is basic, and you see how the price of fuel is skyrocketing. So by the time that the prices of fuel go up, then it means you need more money to buy fuel. By the time that you need more money to buy fuel, then it means you are taking large portion of your budget to spend it on fueling, and as such, that one will reduce your ability to buy other goods and services. So when you look at issues that has to do with food, is one of the key, and issues that has to do with transportation, but issues that has to do with fuel, and these issues that has to do with even school fees and whatever. So that is where most of our people, the typical Nigerian, normal Nigerian, average Nigerian, will spend his money, and all this one have direct what do you call it? Direct link with what? With the issue of exchange rate and issues of that has to do with inflation that we have just said.
So for small business or for businesses that rely on raw materials, imported materials from abroad, how does how does weak Naira affect their businesses and other operations?
Because it raises the cost of their production. By the time that you rely on importation, then it means your local currency will not determine your your production pattern. Even let me put it this way: your cost of production. Why? Because you import.
Yeah.
You import the input. By the time that you import the input, then it means the importation is determined by what? By international currency, for example, dollar. So that same dollar, if your currency is going off, that is, if your currency is becoming strong, for example, if Naira is strong, then certainly that one will do good to you. And by the time that the value of Naira is coming down, that one will certainly have a negative impact on your on your production. So in simple terms, I think once it adds to the cost of their production, and when it adds to the cost of their production, that one will affect their ability to produce, their ability to employ labor, and also even the profit margin that they will get. That one will certainly affect it. So that is, I think.
So are there any positive effects when the Naira is weaker for like farmers, say, and Nigerian producers?
Well, certainly, you see, theoretically, when we look at it, we see that there is such type of impact that we do have if we have low value when it comes to what do we call it, to the currency. For example, now we see if had it been, let me put it that way, had it been Nigeria is export based country, then that one will have a greater role to play, because where we want such type of scenario of having weakened currency is to attract foreigners to come and buy our goods and services. So for example, if I'm producing this pen, and for example China is producing the pen, so it means there is competition between me and you, and the buyer is always want to buy from who? From the one that will sell it at a lower price. So by the time that you devalue your currency, you reduce the value of your currency, then that devaluation of the value of your currency will make that your product cheaper, so that people will start coming to buy. And in economic scale shows us that it's better you sell in large quantity than you sell at a higher price. By the time that so many people, that is the secret in China for China. That is why you see that in China you buy so many goods at cheaper price there, because they value their currency. But you should know that China is export-based country. You get what I'm trying to say. So if you are an export-based country, then certainly there is advantages of devaluing your currency. Why? Because you can compete out your competitors. By the time that you reduce the value of your currency, so many buyers will come to your own country to buy your goods and services, compared to the other countries with higher value of their currency. Because the higher value of the currency will lead to higher prices, but the lower value of your currency will lead to low prices when it comes to the foreign buyers. So that is where we can say that there is what you call a positive impact of currency devaluation. But by the time that you said you devalue your currency in an import-based country, then it means you are adding another problem to another problem, and that is clearly what is happening in our own country. We virtually buy everything from other countries, and we keep on devaluing our currency. What are we doing? You get what I'm trying to say? So by the time that you devalue your currency and you keep on going to buy, then it means you are doubling the issue, because your currency is what do you call it? Your currency is devalued, and you need foreign currencies. So you see the demand for foreign currency, for example, dollar is there, and at the same time the value of your currency is going down. So that is the issue, and that what brings about this issue of fixing the exchange rate. That is why before now you can see that sometimes we fix the exchange rate, and they say let us the government will say 300 naira per dollar, for example. So the advantage of that is mostly on countries that are import-based countries like our own country. Why? Because if you allow your dollar, naira, and the dollar to compete, then there is going to be problem, because certainly you know that the dollar would outshine the naira. Why? Because even we Nigerians, we buy more.
Yes.
By the time that we buy more from other countries, then it means that you need more dollar. You get what I'm trying to say? Just take a look at yourself now. Count from your head to toe what is made in Nigeria. You get what I'm trying to say? Then if all that you have is foreign, then it means you need more dollar than naira. Huh? You get what I'm trying to say? So by the time that you need more dollar than naira, and when somebody comes, for example, if Chinese man comes to Nigeria, look at him from toe to down. What is made in Nigeria? You see that everything is made in China, and the you that you want to buy from you, all from you is made in China. So you see, he don't need more from you, but you need more from him. So by the time that you need more from him, then it means you need more foreign currencies. And by the time that you need more foreign currencies, and nobody is in need of your currency, then it means that that foreign currency will certainly outshine your own currency or naira, for example. So this is, I think, what I can say
what
about it.
practical steps can families or households, families and individuals protect their incomes in this in this period of when currency is fluctuating, it's going up and it's coming down?
Well, I think what they should do is there are certain ways, and one thing that I think is basic is to concentrate on what they need, not what they want.
Okay, so can you elaborate?
Yeah, exactly. What they need from what they want. There are certain things that they want but they are not basic. So let them consider on the basic things.
Trying to they should depend on they should prioritize.
Yeah, they should prioritize what is basic in a place of what is not basic. You get what I'm trying to say? So if maybe in a household where you do consume this and that, maybe in your food basket, maybe you buy this and you buy that, you buy that. So on the process of buying this and that, forget about those that are not basic. Concentrate on the basic ones. That is one issue that we have to do. And the second one is, let us find additional means of sourcing income. This home businesses that we can see our so we should not rely on one source of income. Let us develop another way of generating income. So that is one thing that we should do. And another greater one that they have to do is that one is not directly economic, but rather it is more political, because these issues that you are seeing, that there are factors that are political in nature, and there are factors that are what do you call it, economical in nature. So you see, apart from this, these are truly economic, but when it comes to political issues, is let them choose a better leadership, because this better leadership, they are the ones that will have political will to develop a good economic, to develop or to implement a good economic policies. And by developing good economic policies, that one will affect the economic aspect of the same household that we are taking. But if you choose a bad leader, then certainly that particular bad leader, for example, bear his own what do you call it, self-centered policies, then that he will develop a policy that will affect the household, because it will affect your source of income, it will affect the cost of production, and it will affect the prices of goods and the service and everything, and that will have direct impact to what will happen in your household. So these are some of the things I think that the household will do in order to protect themselves and improve on their economic well-being.
Okay, viewers and listeners, it's still your show, Midday Vibes, coming your way from Caliphate TV on Star Times channel 141 and Caliphate Radio transmits on 91.9. We will take a short break and we will be right back. Please stay with us. Welcome back. In case you've just joined us, this is Midday Vibes, coming your way from Caliphate TV on Star Times Channel 141 and Caliphate Radio, transmitting on 91.9. Right here at the studio, we are discussing about how the value of Naira affects the prices of things we buy or the prices of commodity in Nigeria. You want to be part of this conversation, the number to call is 090-6000-2022. And with me in the studio is Dr. Kabir Alhaji Jabo, lecturer from Sokoto State University. Doctor, you're welcome back from the break.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
How can local production, what role can local production play or local producers play to reduce our dependence on imported goods?
You see, when we look at the local producers, certainly there are a lot of roles that they can play in order to increase development of economic activities in general, and not only for them, but to help the economy to grow. So you see, one of their key role is to stabilize what do you call it, the prices. You see, the more they produce, the more we supply in the market, and the more they produce, the more we have locally made goods that will certainly have a lesser cost compared to that of because the combination of input certainly, even though some are imported, but certainly part of what they produce must certainly become locally sourced. So by the time that we have such, then they will certainly increase in the stabilizing the another one is another role that they can play is that of creating jobs. By the time that we have more locally, what do you call it, firms that can produce certain goods and the services, the more they produce, the more they employ. And the more they employ, the more they create more jobs. And by creating more jobs, it means they are creating incomes to individual. And by creating incomes to individual, you see, economy is sometimes just circulation. So because by the time that they create more incomes to the individual, then it means they are adding purchasing power to individuals to come back to them to buy more goods and services. You get what I'm right? So it's just that you give me, I give you. So that is one issue. So by the time that they create more jobs, it means that they are creating employment. It means that they are creating income. And by the time that they create more income, then the ability of people to buy goods and the services will increase. Why? Because they have more purchasing power. And when they have more purchasing power, then they will rush to the market, and they are coming to the same people to buy goods and the services. And by so doing, you can see that they increase. That is another one. And another one, they reduce by producing more, they will reduce what do you call it, the demand for dollar.
Okay.
Yeah, certainly they will reduce the demand for dollar, and by the time that the demand for dollar reduces, then that one will add value to our currency. You get what I'm trying to say? Because if, for example, that this speaker that maybe we are using now, or the phone that you are using now, or the camera that we are using now, we have somebody that can produce it in Nigeria. So then it means that what do you need to buy it? You need Naira to buy it. You don't need dollar to buy it. Why? Because it is made in Nigeria and you can buy it from Nigeria. But when you have to go out to buy it, then it means you need what? You need dollar to buy it. So having local what do you call it, producers producing this same commodity that we need, then it means we don't need dollar. Rather, we need what? We need our local Naira to buy it. So by so doing, then it means we are what? Strengthening the Naira. Why? We are what? Weakening the dollar. How? Because we are reducing the demand for what? For dollar, and increasing the demand for what? For Naira. And that one will make Naira stronger. And so these are some of the things I think we did. And one important thing is it reduces having this large what do you call it, local production will reduce the level of poverty, you know, in our country. By the time that they create more jobs, then they are removing so many people from poverty. And that same poverty have a lot of influence on other atrocities. For example, these issues of armed banditry, these issues of terrorism that attract so many poor people. Then by the time that you employ them, then it means that you are what? You are you are even now what? You are even now protecting your people to engaging themselves into such type of atrocities. as such, I think, what do you call
in this economic situation now,
Yes.
what advice can you offer to someone for receiving or collecting a fixed salary?
So let me go back to maybe the same word advice that I give to household. Because a person that is collecting salary is a householder, for example. So as I said, let us concentrate on the basic needs first. Let us prioritize what we need, not what we want. Yeah. So if we prioritize on what we need, then that one will what? Will certainly help our budget, our budget. And at the same time, apart from that, let us devise way of sourcing another income. Don't rely on one source of income. Try to get another source of income that will add to the existing income that you have, and that will add to your purchasing power, and certainly that will add to the value that you have in your household at large. So I think this is what we should do.
That's how would I say it? The person that is earning fixed salary.
Yeah.
You mean that he should look? He should try other businesses.
Yes, of course. There are other business that maybe he might engage himself in, so that he will earn. But if you rely on a fixed salary, then it means that you remain in danger. Why? Because you remain in danger because that fixed salary will certainly be what? A victim of currency fluctuation. For example, devaluation of Naira. Yeah. But by the time that you have what do you call it? By the time that you have another source of income, even if the Naira devalue, which means that fixed income that you are receiving comes down, then you can use another source of income that you have and add to the existing one that you have, so that you can take care of your what do you call it? Economic activities.
So what are the two realistic actions governments or communities can take to improve purchasing power for citizens?
Well, I think for us to have, you see, for example, let me start with the government. You see, in economic reality, government is not a business, what do you call it? It's not let me put it this way, it's not business individual. You get what I'm trying to say? So government is a facilitator. It provides atmosphere suitable for domestic and domestic and foreign investment. That is one. It will provide infrastructure. It will provide good roads, for example. It will provide, for example, what do you call it? All the basic needs. Yeah, all the basic facilities needed for what? For a business to grow. All the basic facilities needed for investment to take place. So that is the role of government. As such, if government really want to have anything that has to do with that, then government has to provide good infrastructures. How do we get this good infrastructure? Maybe provision of good roads, provision of schools, where we will have a lot of skillful use that we can use in productivity. By the time that you have good what do you call it, schools, then it means that you will have more youth that are capable of competing in what? In the global market. What I mean by competing in the global market, they will participate in the production of goods and the services because they acquire skills, they acquire knowledge from the sales schools or whatever. So that is another issue. And the second one issue is to provide good health facilities, because by the time that you provide good health facilities, then it means you are adding value you are adding value to a given society, and by so doing you will increase the human capital development. And by the time that you have human capital development, all these things that we are saying is as a result of human capital development. It is as a result of human capital development that is why China is what they are today. It is as a result of human capital development that is why Singapore is what it is today. It is as a result of human capital that is why Malaysia is what it is today. And it is the same reason why the America is what it is today. And we can see what the role of human capital development on the current issues that have emanated between Iran and the United States of America. You see how the Iranian people develop their own people. They make them acquire more knowledge, and you can see how they can compete scientifically with the global powers. So that is the power of developing human beings. By the time that we make our youth highly educated with skills, then certainly they will certainly contribute in changing the scenario the current situation of economic situation in our own country, and that one will certainly help in growing the economy.
Okay. Despite all these challenges that you've mentioned earlier, what gives you confidence that Nigerians can find a better way to manage their income?
I think Nigeria has potentialities of becoming anything. You see, when you look at when you look at the teeming youth that we have, when you look at the youth, you see, Nigeria is, when it comes to youth, Nigeria is at the forefront in the world. And you should know that this youth that you are seeing, by the time, that is why I said give them education, give them skills. By the time that you give them education, by the time that you give them skills, then it means you have a lot of skillful youth. And with that skillful youth, then certainly they will develop your own country. That is one. And when you look at how fertile our land is, then that one you can also, the only thing that we need is somebody that will what? Prioritize agricultural sector, or somebody that will give emphasis on agricultural sector to grow. We have millions of hectares of fertile land in Nigeria. So that one alone will tell you how Nigeria can become a better country if you can use that fertile land effectively. And apart from that, you see, Nigeria is a resource. When we talk of natural resources, Nigeria is a resource-based country. We have a lot of what do you call it, natural resources. And if we can combine all this together, then certainly we are expecting our country to become a better country. And that is the only expectation that we have. But this one is only possible if we come back and have a very good leadership. Because without good leadership, you see, economists, for example, their own is to develop a policy. Maybe the highest thing that they will do, they will take research, find out what is the way out. That is his own work. You get what I'm trying to say? By the time that he says this is and this, you should do this and that is his own work. But he is not the one that will implement it. So by the time that you have a leader who doesn't have a political will to implement a very good economic policy, then certainly things will fall apart. And when things fall apart, then the economic activities will worsen, and everything will crumble.
Okay, viewers and listeners, at the end of the day, the value of Naira directly affects what we can buy with our money. While we cannot control the exchange rate, we can control how we plan, spend, and support local productions. Thank you for our guest in person of Dr. Kabir Alhaji Jabo for breaking it down in simple terms for our listeners. And with this, we come to the end of today's edition of the program Midday Vibes. On behalf of our production crew and our guest, Dr. Kabir Jabo, I am Hajara Usman Attajiri. Stay blessed until next time.